All right, everyone, welcome back to the Dungeon Gambling Hour presented by the Average Athletic Podcast Network. We're here with episode 4 on February the 3rd on a nice Friday afternoon. Going to be discussing a little NBA, a little college basketball, and we'll get you right into the six pack. All right, Grant, good to have you back on. It's been a heck of a week for both of us, betting all these college basketball games and really gearing up for what we always talk about, gearing up for March. We
Yep.
got a loaded show today. We're going to be bouncing around some basketball. We're going to have NBA talks. We're going to talk a little futures and everything. Grant, how you doing?
Good week for me so far. Um, Six pack wasn't where we wanted it to be, but so far, some of this college basketball slate's been treating us well this week.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I just want to start off, we'll go through some games and we're just going to do a quick, 30-second runoff on each of the games and we'll figure out who we like there. Um, let's start off with Kings and Pacers. Pacers getting 4 at home. I like the Kings in this spot. I think they're a team that's going to be playing for April, vying for a playoff spot. They're going to try to stay out of the play-in. Grant, quickly, who do you like, Kings and Pacers?
I like Kings here.
Kings, love it.
Although there is no De'Aaron Fox, it's already been confirmed. No Fox tonight. I think Sabonis and this Kings team, coached by Mike Brown, I think they can easily take one tonight here at Indiana.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Let's go now to a possible at the beginning of the season. We thought this might be a finals matchup, but it's not looking like it's going to be one now because of the Suns. But Suns at Celtics, visiting them at the TD Garden, and Celtics are favored by 9.5 in this game. The Jays, I know it's a big trending thing on Twitter now. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. A lot of people have been hammering them plus 20 points and 4 boards and putting that in a parlay. And I know a lot of our guys, at least personally, I know, have been tailing some of these plays on Twitter. But it is what it is. I think 9.5 is a big number. I'd probably stay away from this game as a better. Probably target the over one thing. Overs at 220 if I wanted to bet at all. I like the Celtics. I think they're going to win. I'm not too sure they're going to cover. Grant, anything?
Yeah, I think this would be a game I would worry about the two Jays as far as player props with Mikal Bridges on the other side. He's definitely going to draw the assignment of one of those two stars. So definitely going to be an interesting game. 9.5 is a lot. It has moved though. I think it was at 10.5 early this morning. So it has moved at least a point.
Yeah.
Towards the Suns, but I still like the Celtics at home here.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to lose, and I know Missoula is going to have these guys ready to go. I actually was watching a TikTok this morning, and I never knew this. You'll have to let me know if you know this, Grant. He missed 2 games with a eye injury that he sustained playing pickup with his guys.
Yep. Yeah,
and Missoula's a dog, man. But let's transition now to a late game. We got Hawks at the Jazz. Jazz are favored by 1. It's almost a pick 'em actually. Hawks minus 102 on the money line. The Jazz at minus 116. Going into Utah is a tough place to play, especially with Markkanen. He has just been a rise of resurgency, and good for him. I know we were big, personally at least. I was a big fan of him in Cleveland. He was often very streaky. I think this year he's pounded out some of those inconsistencies, and so he's going to be a real threat if they can hang on to a playoff spot. And when I first thought of the Jazz, obviously not releasing, but trading Gobert and Mitchell, in my mind, this is tanking for Wemby. I didn't think they were going to be in the spot that they are, and they got out to a hot start, and they've leveled off now a couple games around 500 in the past 10. But the Jazz, they're a fun squad and they're interesting, and I know they could, if they get into the play-in, that's probably not a team I want to face, as in 7-10 matchup, 8-9 matchup. I really don't want to face them. Hawks are dangerous though. Murray, Trae Young, these guys can fill it up. I know personally I've had a couple nights where I've thrown in Trae Young plus 20 points into some lays and thrown in a couple Murray assists, and it's just most of the time you forget about it, and these guys hit all the time. Grant, do you got any opinions on this game?
Yeah, the Hawks are teams that batter that I'd stay way clear of. You can never figure them out. You never know who's in, who's out of the lineup with DeJounte, Trae, Capella, and John Collins, who I think is probably going to be moved here, probably towards the trade deadline. We'll get into that a little
Yeah.
bit later. But yeah, I like the Jazz in this spot. I don't think they are, the team that we saw at the beginning of the year. I think some credit definitely goes to Will Hardy, the coach for Jazz. But I think I like the Jazz in the spot here at home. Utah's a tough place to play, and I'm happy for Markkanen.
Yeah.
His role was a little bit different now than it was, as we saw as Cleveland fans when he was with the Cavs. But I like Jazz here.
I love it. And that's a perfect segue. As of around 2 o'clock, we actually had some breaking news onto the show. Kyrie Irving has now requested a trade out of Brooklyn. And I mean, it really at this point should catch nobody by surprise, but it still generates, a little bit of question marks and stuff like that. We've had this guy, we had that guy in Cleveland for, was it 6 or 7 years? And he's a hell of a player, but he just could never seem to get his head screwed on straight. So we're going to discuss a couple landing spots. Grant, I know we talked about, when we were getting ready for the show, the place that you liked. Tell the listeners where you think Kyrie might be going.
Yeah, I like, specific. I have two spots I think he, could really work into, but one is the favorite is the New York Knicks. To me, he's a guy who wants to go play in a big market. Brooklyn, not as big of a market as New York, even though it is still in New York City. The Knicks run New York,
Yeah.
unfortunately, even though they haven't had as much success recently. Knicks probably gonna have to give up, big assets for him. Probably RJ, Robinson, a pick, maybe Toppin. So you're getting a star, but you're probably giving away. I don't particularly think Toppin's all that great. I don't think his game really translates to the NBA, but RJ is definitely has all-star level talent, and then you get a pick in return. The other team that I think is kind of a dark horse is the Miami Heat. I know they already have the point guard situation figured out with Kyle Lowry and Oladipo kind of playing that combo guard role, but Miami's a place I could also see him at.
Yeah. And I know I wasn't even really, when I heard about this news, I was trying to think of these contenders that he could go to. And me and Graham, we talked through it before the show. He's probably not going to the Bucks. He's not going back to Celtics. He's not coming back to Cleveland. And it's just like at some point he's running out of contenders. So you almost have to have that New York effect. If you're playing at MSG, man, that's your pitch. That's your pitch to Kyrie. And the thing is, they're going to have to give up a lot of assets to get this guy. But
Right.
could he take him to the next level? I don't bet against it. I mean, Kyrie's gifted, man. He's a great passer of the ball, and he's just so crafty. And he seems to really elevate the level of his teammates everywhere he goes, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the exception of, that half of the Boston year where he just basically quit on the team. And I mean, we were familiar with that in Cleveland in 2017. But I think Kyrie's got a good shot to land with the Knicks. It'd be crazy. It'd be exciting. I know he would be all jacked up to go play there, and who wouldn't be? And probably still going to be able to live in the same apartment and everything like that. And I don't know what his family stuff is, but staying in the city, you don't have to move your kids out of school or, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever. You stay in the city and your family's there already. And it seems like a perfect spot for him. But that's going to do it for our NBA talk. And we're going to get to a break real quick, but we're going to get into some NBA futures and who we like coming into June. All right. So that wrapped up our NBA slate, and we're going to get into some NBA player awards at the end of the year. And it's always something that I like to bet on. I've never really been that big of a futures guy, but NBA awards is something that you can always kind of hammer down. And I know last year, they actually got leaked like a week before. So hopefully that doesn't happen again this year and we can keep everything good. We're going to run down MVP first. Right now we got Jokic at minus 115, and we got Embiid at plus 300, Giannis at plus 800, and Luka at plus 800 as well. A couple long shots, Tatum at plus 1400 and Morant at plus 5,000. For me, I don't have this stat pulled up, and maybe I should. How many 3-time back-to-back MVPs have we had in this league? I would venture to say probably none. Maybe I don't know when we started giving out MVPs.
Maybe is a Bill Russell.
Bill Russell, I was going right there. Yeah, that'd be it. So even being the odds-on favorite, who do you like here, and how do you pivot away from Jokic in this spot?
I think Jokic right now is the clear leader. I don't think his odds, reflect where he's at right now. His team leading the West. Um, I think I think Embiid is worth a shot, in that second place spot at
Yeah.
plus money. Um, but I think this is more one of the interesting ones. A three-peat's hard for me to bet on. It really is.
Hmm.
Um, I just don't see it. I do think Jokic does everything on the floor though that an MVP should do, which is he plays on both ends. He's a gifted passer, can protect the rim, and we know he's basically a triple double
Yeah. Walking
threat every
triple
single
double.
night.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's kind of like the LeBron parallel, where it's like if you take out, like for Cleveland, for instance, in my opinion, LeBron should be an 8 or 9 time MVP. This guy, his numbers, the team's numbers when he was on the court to when he was
Yeah.
off the court were drastically different. And I mean, this guy, if we're talking about most valuable player and we're not going off of statistics, which these awards, they don't go by most valuable player. It's a stat award, it's a regular season stat award, and we've known that for years now. In my opinion, the most valuable player in our league, and still to this day, I read a stat about the Lakers. They're just abysmal without LeBron. It was LeBron for all those years. And it's just like, I wonder if Jokic is kind of getting to that plateau where LeBron was, where it's like, yes, sure. Are
Mhm.
you the most, like the most skilled guy? Sure. Do you help your team elevate it? All right, that's fine. But if some guy has better numbers, maybe we'll knock you off the throne and stuff like that. And it's just so hard for me to put my money on a guy who's he's minus 115 right now. He's the odds-on favorite. And for something that we just really have never seen in this generation of
Mhm.
basketball players in a three-peat. I like Embiid at plus 300. I wouldn't venture too far out from there. I don't love Giannis. I don't love Luca. Um, but Embiid, he doesn't have an MVP, right? I don't
I
believe
don't think
so.
so. Yeah.
Nah, so it,
And this is another conversation. I mean, I won't get into this GOAT conversation because we could go on for days, but I think, the biggest stat when comparing, GOATs, LeBron, Jordan, look at LeBron's or the Cavs record once
mm-hmm,
LeBron leaves. Look at the Bulls record after Jordan leaves first time.
yeah,
Bulls still basically a finals team
yeah,
without Michael Jordan. The Cavs were turned into basically the worst team in the NBA.
yeah,
I agree with that, that statement that LeBron should probably have 8 or 9 under his belt because
yeah,
he is the most valuable player on almost every
yeah,
single team
pretty
he's
much.
on. And
Yeah.
it's that's just how it is.
Yeah, and it is what it is, and that's just for being so great. That's kind of the price you pay. It's almost like it's like a kind of like how it is in the NFL when like offensive linemen, like, do they hold every play? Yes, but can the referees really call holding on every single down? No, they can't. It gets to a point where you can't give LeBron an MVP every single year, and
Yeah.
I just wonder if that's gonna start happening to Jokic. I mean, he's really talented, probably the most valuable player, but we'll see in the future. But I want to real quickly just gloss over Rookie of the Year. I think this is almost a lock at this point. Even if were to get hurt, I'm still loving this year. He's played over 50, 60% of the game so far, of the season, I should say. Um, Paulo Banchero is minus 800. Benedict Matherin's plus 600, Kessler plus 2,400, and Ivy at plus 5,500. I think this is a lock. Banchero's had a great year. He's a heck of an athlete. He's on a bad team, but he still wants to play, which I think
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of these rookies is a good step in their development. And I kind of like think of like Josh Giddey for the Thunder last year and how he was able, like he was on a shitty team, but they were able to keep grinding away. And it's like when you're a vet and you're on a bad team, it's a different story. But when you're a rookie, like, yes, you may only be for that team for 4 years, but you're playing for your next contract, And Banchero's looked really solid this year, Duke product, and I think he's a lock. Grant, are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, I am. I think uh Banchero is basically a lock for rookie of the year, but I'd say the rookie that's impressed me the most is Keegan Murray
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the Kings. To me, he looked like the most NBA ready player. Some of the rookies that have disappointed me are, I don't think Ivy. To me, Ivy, I don't think has performed to where he's at, and Jabari Smith, who was supposed to be the most NBA ready talent, uh, is very inefficient on a bad Rockets team. So, um, I like Binkara on the spot. I think the odds reflect it. There's too much. I mean, I'm not sure I would pay the minus
No,
800
I
to
would
get
never.
him,
No, no,
but
no, no.
even probably going down with an injury, he's probably still got it locked up over. I think you said Walker Kessler and
Yeah.
um,
We had Walker Kessler and Benedict Mathurin.
Mathurin. Yeah, Matherin's played well, but to me, I mean, he comes off the bench for a mediocre Pacers team, so I think that you can kind of see where you're at now. Binkaro, at least, putting up good numbers on a bad team. You can live with that as a rookie of the year.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to switch now to Defensive Player of the Year. Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. is minus 180 right now. Bam is sneaking up, and as well as Claxton for the Knicks, or I'm sorry, for the Nets. They're both at plus 600. We had a story kind of break a little on these underground Reddit forums about, Jaren Jackson, this whole thing about how he's getting boosted at home and how the scorebook is stat padding. And I never knew this, Grant, but until the playoffs, it's all actually hometown guys doing the sports or the
Yeah,
scorebook
correct.
for these teams. And so it makes you think a little bit. I still like Jaren Jackson here in this spot. I think he's going to be a good asset to play for these futures. And something that's interesting is actually on FanDuel, you can parlay these together. So something we talked about earlier in the show, you can parlay Bancaro and Jackson at around minus 130 odds, and that's pretty good value in my opinion. You're still giving up a little bit of juice to the house there, but pretty in my eyes, pretty much two locks. I think Jaren
Yeah.
Jackson is going to win this award regardless of this whole scorebook keeping scandal. Grant, what do you think about Jaren Jackson in this spot?
Yeah, I like Jaren Jackson here. At the odds, I think it's they have changed since the rumors and scandal came out. But this reminds me a lot of some of the bets I saw last year. Um, James Harden triple double at the end of the game. A couple players are tipping rebounds to him. James Harden doesn't receive the rebound for that. It's the player that tipped it to him. It's considered a possession rebound off the tip. So these are all, these stats are all gray areas because the home stat keepers are the official scorekeeper for these. So they can kind of play with stats, boost their guys and other stuff like that. Because, I mean, I've seen videos of some of these steals and rebounds that Jaren Jackson's been credited with.
Questionable.
And it literally, the ball literally just rolls into his hand after Ja gets a hand on it or something.
Yeah.
And he's credited with the steal. So I really don't think the Grizzlies are doing it on purpose. I really don't. I think it was just, something that happened, but his percentages, I mean, are way, way better at home. So, I mean, you can disagree with it all you want, but I still love Jaren Jackson here, even after all that stuff came out.
For sure. Something to think about. We'll now get into a player that we just talked about a little bit earlier for most improved player. Odds on favorite right now is Lauri Markkanen at minus 165. SGA is at plus 135. Halliburton, a long shot at plus 1900. This to me, I would probably stay away from. I think Markkanen probably has this locked up. I'm not willing to do it as a straight bet just because of how much juice is on the other side of it. But like we were talking about before the show, and I'll bring it up here. Shai already had a good season last year, so it's kind of hard for him to get most improved player. And Markkanen, I mean, just an absolute phenomenal resurgence from him, and he's been so good this year. I think it's definitely, if you want to dabble in it, maybe parlay it again with Bancaro, something that's virtually a lock. Who do you make in this debate between Markkanen and SGA for most improved player this year?
Yeah, the Shea thing kind of reminds me a couple years ago of the Pascal Siakam, kind of issue where he was really good last year. So has he really improved that much? His numbers have went up and they have increased very well. That's why he is second on this. But I still like Markkanen. And I think what you're seeing, and you see this with a lot of players, when they get in an expanded role, obviously their stats are going to increase.
Yeah.
When you become the man on a team, you just become a much better player. We saw it with Harden going from OKC to Houston. We saw it with Sabonis going from OKC to the Kings. When these players get these expanded roles, which lead to more minutes and more, play, their stats are just going to go up. It's just how it's going to go. So Markkinen, he wasn't required to do much. He was more of a spot up shooter in Chicago. In Cleveland, more of a rim protector, outside scorer to stretch the floor. And now he's basically taken on the main role of the guy in Utah. So I like him there. Shea, definitely the if you feel like Shea, the money's there.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
good odds on him. So, but I think Markkinen uh, does have this one wrapped up pretty square.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll move to our final one. Often some of the most like bizarre, but also you get these guys who really come out of nowhere to get into this role. And it started off, if this guy starts the whole year, obviously he's not in this position. Russell Westbrook is the favorite right now, plus 125 for sixth man of the year. Malcolm Brogdon at plus 150 for the Celtics. And he got a couple long shots, Maxi and Norman Powell at plus 700. But this is going to be a coin flip between these two guys. I'm probably staying away from this just because six man of the year is very arbitrary, and I know the media likes to push these
Mm-hmm.
guys into certain spots and kind of thrust them in there. So I'm not really too confident in Westbrook or Brogdon. I will say I'm going to stay away from this one personally. I don't really. It's so hard for me because I don't personally get to watch too many Lakers games just because being on the West Coast and
Yeah.
normally I'm not up that late, and so I don't get them. We never see them on TV unless they're on national TV. So it's like I haven't really gotten to see Westbrook play that much this year, but I have gotten to see Brogdon play a lot, and he adds a different dynamic for the Celtics team, scoring off of the perimeter, and he's able to handle the ball coming off the floor and distribute to these guys low in the paint. I know once they got um, Williams back, Rob Williams, they were, I mean, just mauling teams. Like, and we saw, I want to say Wednesday night, they just put the hurt on the Nets. It was
Yeah.
brutal. And these guys were just working together as a team. And I think Brogdon has almost that second win coming off the bench. He's usually um, in parents on the court with Tatum most of the time. So they'll kind of go possession to possession, break a guy down and run their sets. So I wouldn't mind throwing a little bit of money on Brogdon here, something that I'm probably in the long run going to stay away from. Grant, do you got any takes on Westbrook versus Brogdon?
Yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit in a different direction here. I like Norman Powell.
Okay.
I
Okay.
really do. He's the team's third leading scorer coming off the bench. And plays more minutes than most of these guys. And really, really he adds the scoring punch they need off the bench without because they've gone away from Luke Kennard. The Luke Kennard experience basically done in Los Angeles. I think he's kind of been exposed for being what he is, which is just a 40% 3-point shooter, doesn't play much defense. So they pivoted now towards Norman Powell getting an even bigger role off the bench. And he's basically playing starters minutes. He reminds me a lot of Lou Williams on those Clipper teams in the mid 2010s, where he's basically playing starters minutes, is basically the team's leading scorer, but he's just more comfortable coming off the bench. He's a starter coming off the bench is what he is. So at plus 700 odds, I like him. I do think Brogdon and Russ are more of, your typical six man of the year play.
Candidates. Yeah, for sure.
But to me, the media would be hard for me to see them give it to him.
I know.
And I think Brogdon at the second spot, not a bad play. But I like the long shot here, the dark horse, Norman Powell from the Clippers.
All right. So that wraps up our NBA talk. And it's a lot of value that you can get on these futures. Don't be afraid to parlay them. I think it's definitely a viable option, especially if you're on FanDuel. I don't know how many books will actually allow you to parlay them. FanDuel is really good about that. So shout out to them. And we're going to move now into a little bit of some men's hoops on this Friday afternoon. We got a loaded slate full of Ivy League and some MAC action. It's definitely easily the worst slate I've seen. Let's just be honest.
It's a bad one.
Yeah, it's going to be rough out there. But real quickly, I want to showcase something that Grant was on yesterday. We got Central Connecticut State hosting St. Francis, and right now on your screen, you guys will be seeing the gym. Grant, could you just walk us through like what the hell was going through your mind when you decided to put money on this game?
Yeah, so this was a complete degenerate play. But a lot of people were betting this along with the IUPUI Milwaukee game. I believe this one was the 2 o'clock game. The
It was.
IUPUI was the 11 o'clock game. So two bad just games yesterday morning or afternoon. But this may be one of the worst. This could possibly be the worst college basketball play I've ever put money on. It did win. I did
You
good money
won.
on
You
it.
won.
I did win, but it looked like I was betting on basically an AAU game. Attendance for the game was allegedly, and I say allegedly because I can count maybe 25 people in the stands. The attendance was 234. And so mid-game, actually something interesting happened with this one. Attendance actually rose as a school field trip full of elementary kids came in and formed their own student section in the middle of the gym. This gym and both sides here, as you guys can see with both these pictures here, no bleachers on the bench side, just about 10 rows of yellow bleachers that support the St. Francis Terriers.
Oh my God.
Bad game, horrific free throw shooting. I think Central Connecticut shot around 30% from the line.
The Blue Devils, man, they're hot.
Yeah, it's just a bad game
Oh my Lord.
between two D1 powerhouses in the Central Connecticut Blue Devils and St. Francis Brooklyn Terriers. But money talks, and I'm never going to turn down making money.
Yeah, for
2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. Made money on the IUPUI game too.
Yeah, that was a good play.
Brag.
It was.
Well, yeah, I liked IUPUI honestly all week. That was a play I really liked. I think there were too many points for a game that was, IUPUI has been getting better. Yeah. We know last year about their little incident where they actually had to run open tryouts mid-season for players interested in walking on to their basketball team. A D1 school having open tryouts mid-season to get some players on their team because they were just so low in numbers. IUPUI getting better and did cover the 11.5. More people at that game, at least the gym, looked like a normal.
I think they had another field trip there too. So
I think so. I think so. It was mainly kids in the student section. I was going to send you a picture of that.
Yeah, I think combined age might have been like 5.5 years old.
Yeah, it was definitely a school trip day for games being at 11.
Yeah, the midday games.
11 a.m.
The
midday games. I love it.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. It
doesn't get any better today though. It's all Ivy League.
Yeah,
big one. My Akron Zips take on the team out east, the Kent State Golden Flashes. The Jar is going to be rowdy tonight.
It is.
Coach Gross is going to have his guys ready. I actually had John Gross's kid at my basketball camp this summer, so
there you go.
I'm a diehard Gross fan.
Yeah.
And I think the Zips get it done tonight in front of a rowdy home crowd. It's a whiteout night tonight.
Whoa.
So
yeah,
it's gonna be wild. No losses for Akron at the Jar this year. So we'll see. An unstoppable force is going to meet an unmovable object tonight.
Yeah,
so we're gonna see.
Yeah, and for myself, I gotta say, I was a Golden Flash for 1 year, so I still have my flash card over in my wallet.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so a little Golden Flash over here. Over the years now that I've been up in Cleveland, up at CSU, getting to know you guys, and I've been my bias is leaning a little bit more towards the Zips. I know we were at who were they playing in football this year for homecoming?
We had them against BG.
Yeah, BG, and they should have won that game. I think Akron covered though, right? I want to say
Akron did cover.
We took number.
As an Akron faithful, I took Akron money line at plus, I don't know, probably 800.
Yeah, I think I had money line at some point too.
just special teams cost them, and college football is going to be a fun slate to cover once we get around to it again, but long ways away. But
long ways away.
Excited.
Yeah. And like you said tonight, in all reality, this game is going to be a coin flip. It's going to be fun. I got to ask, is it the battle for the wagon wheel? Is that the official?
It is the battle of the wagon wheel.
Battle of the wagon wheel. I gotcha.
So yeah, this is the first meeting this season. Akron will go to Kent on March 3rd and play them again.
Cool.
Tonight's on ESPN though, which tells you how. I mean,
prime time.
Well, the wagon wheel game is a big rivalry game.
It is.
In college sports, as much as Ohio State, it's not on the level of obviously Ohio State, Michigan, USC, UCLA, but it is a big rivalry game, and it is on ESPN tonight. So
yeah, for sure,
definitely a decent watch on what is basically a really bad college basketball slate with only Ivy League and other bad MAC teams.
MAC teams, yeah, for sure. And I know we're gonna get down to the MAC championships coming up in March down here at the Q, and it's gonna be fun. And I didn't get a chance to come down last year, but looking forward to it this year. Hopefully the Zips can pull one out tonight. I know we're riding with them heavy on the pod, so hopefully we get them done and we can shut down Sincere Carry because he is a
Yes.
dog. All right, very good. Coming up after the break, we'll get into the Dungeon Six Pack and what all went on with that last week. All right, welcome back, everybody. We just wrapped up some college basketball talk, riding with some hometown picks tonight, and I want to transition now to the Dungeon Six Pack. A 3-3 week last week, and I just want to make it a point. If frickin' Brock Purdy doesn't tear his UCL, he doesn't tear his UCL, I think we're in good shape at another 5-1 week. Really, really unfortunate for the Niners last week. I had Kittle at over 46.5 yards. We talked about it on the six pack last week. He had 3 catches for 32 yards in the
30.
first quarter. Yeah, 30 yards in the first quarter. And then Purdy goes out, and I knew we were dead in the water. I'm not going to lie. And I had a bad feeling about our teaser as well. And of course, Johnson comes in and he held down the ship for a little bit, but really just turned it around with that turnover inside the 2-minute warning at the tail end of the first half. And it was all downhill from there for 49ers bettors. So take last week's 3-3 with a grain of salt. Obviously injuries happen, but we don't have bad beat protection or anything. And I think that probably qualifies as a decently bad beat. It didn't come down to the wire, but it's not like, our bets get voided because Purdy goes out. It's a loss. It is what it is. And it sucks for Purdy bettors, I will say, player props, because I have a feeling if he doesn't come back in, their bets get voided. But that's betting sometimes, and that's the way they fall. But 500 for the week gets us to 12-6 overall. And I know we're going to put out some winners for you today. So tail as you wish. And Grant, I'm going to have you open up with pick number 1.
All right. So for play one of the six pack, bettors, you're going to have to get this one in early because it is one of those Ivy League games tonight. I'm taking Dartmouth tonight. I like where this line's sitting at. It's a true pick'em game. And if you're, taking a glance at this game just based off record, you're probably going to take Brown here. But Dartmouth actually has a better Ivy League record than Brown at 4-4 or 4-3 compared to Brown's 3-4. And I like Dartmouth here. I like Dartmouth a lot. I believe the spread is at 1.5 right now towards Dartmouth. Big thing about this game, though, and this is the biggest reason I'm taking Dartmouth tonight. Brown, worst team in the nation in free throws.
Wow,
Worst.
I did not know
that. Worst in the nation.
Wow.
Dartmouth playing better basketball recently. Brown is getting back, I believe, one of their rotation players tonight, which won't make a huge difference. But I've rolled with Dartmouth before, and I'm rolling with Kagi and the Dartmouth, whatever their mascot is.
I don't even
Their unofficial mascot is Kagi the Keg.
Okay.
Which is possibly the best
that might be
alternative mascot.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be an all-time mascot.
For an Ivy League school having a Keg as their unofficial mascot,
Awesome.
I think it's enough to play Dartmouth tonight.
For sure. I'm gonna go get a little different here. I'm gonna fade Rick Pitino. I'm going Mount St. Mary's plus 16 versus Iona. I got no faith in this Rick Pitino squad. All jokes aside, these teams are abysmal, really, really bad. And when you have two bad teams, I just love the points. Anything that's double digits, I'm pretty much targeting. I'll just read some stats off. May not give bettors too much confidence, but hear me out, and then I'll get to the official, reason why I like these guys. Mount St. Mary's is actually 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games against a team with a winning record. So they're due. And they're also 0-4 against their spread and against the spread in their last 4 games, following a double-digit loss at home. I will say, if you want a little pivot from this game and you don't like the spread and you don't like the number, the under is 5-0 in their last 5 road games. So they're playing good D. Really playing probably bad teams down the stretch. On the flip side of it, Pitino's squad, Iona, is 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 games overall. And they're 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games, following against the spread loss. Well, the over is actually 4-0 in their last 4 games against a team with a winning percentage below 400. I know that was a lot of information to throw out there. the Mountaineers, they got a guy, Jalen Benjamin. He's a 5'10 senior in North Carolina. He can flat out score. This guy's a 40-40-80 guy. He shoots, his clips are much better on the road, which is actually surprising for a couple of these mid-major guys. Um, Maybe, I don't know what that has to do with it. They put in different sets against different teams and stuff like that, but he's a much better shooter on the road. He's averaging 4 more points on the road. So I'm riding with Jalen Benjamin. Look for a big game out of him tonight. And I'm riding with the Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers. Grant, what do you got for pick 3?
So for my second pick, I like Wizards spread tonight.
Okay.
I think the Wizards are in a little bit better of a spot tonight than the Trailblazers, who are going to be out. I believe Dame and Nurk tonight.
Yeah.
So Washington, they're not a winning basketball team, but there is some talent on this team. And I think the Wizards win and cover tonight against a Portland team that's very, very inconsistent. Washington, as for average of basketballs they're playing, they actually have the best field goal percentage at the rim against a Portland team, which isn't going to have any rim protection tonight without Nurkic. So I don't think that bodes well for the Blazers on the road going to the East Coast. And I like the Wizards -4 tonight.
I like it. Very good. I'm going to stay in the NBA as well, and I'm targeting under 240.5 in the Hornets and Pistons game. Charlotte's a running gun team, but they're coming off of a back-to-back, and they really don't have the personnel to run that way like they did last year. And so something that I want to keep track of is Detroit is also very, very slow in pace as well. And both of these defenses are abysmal. I will say they are terrible, but 240 is a large, large number. The last 5 times the Hornets had a game lined at 240 or higher, the total came under. And this is the highest line game for Detroit all season long. So with all that being said, I think under 240.5 is a solid move. If you want, I could probably play this down maybe to 238.5. Just be careful about that, because we know Vegas is right on with these lines. But yeah, just don't get cute with it. Play the under tonight in the Hornets and Pistons game. Make your money and get out. That's all I got to say. But Grant, pick 5.
So for my last pick here, I'm gonna go with a player prop. I'm gonna go with Fred VanVleet's over in points tonight. That line's set at, I believe, 21.5. So it has moved a little bit from 22.5 to 21.5. And he comes in this game averaging 19.5 points on the season per game. And he's hit this line actually 7 out of his last 9 games. The only times he hasn't, he had a 17-point game, an 11-point game. OG Anunoby obviously went down with a wrist injury, so he's going to be out. And Fred VanVleet has a usage rate of 22.2%. But it's actually risen since the OG injury to almost around 25%. And his volume's been increased, and he's attempting almost 20 field goals a game. He's going up against a Rockets team that has a very, very bad defensive rating on the season. They're 3rd worst in the NBA. He will likely is going to have a matchup with Eric Gordon, who's, we know, towards the tail end of his career, not a great defender. So I like VanVleet over in points this week.
I love it. I'm actually going to now go to college basketball to finish this up. And it's always these late night games that so let's say you go, 1-2, 1-3 during the day, and you're like, how do I get some money back? Well, I got the answer for you. The 11 o'clock start, and I feel like we said this last week. I think I see this game every single Friday night. We got Air Force in Nevada.
Oh, yeah. The Mountain West, baby.
The Mountain West. You got to love it. And so this line actually in the hour that took to record has moved 2 points in my favor. So I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. Originally, I was going to come on here and say under 133.5, but I just checked while Grant was giving his last play. And the under is out 135.5. So we're getting 2 more points than I originally liked, which is great. But Air Force is one of the slowest teams in the country. The Falcons rank 348th in adjusted tempo and average 20 seconds per possession on offense and 17.5 seconds per possession on defense. These guys like to juice the clock and milk it out. And given how Nevada already slows opponents down to its liking, Air Force should play directly into the Wolfpack's hands, and I love it here in the under. But yeah, neither of these teams run at a quick tempo, and both of them rank below 240th, according to KenPom, in pace and in defensive stats and everything like that. And just really two teams that like to slow the game down. But yeah, they have defensive strengths. Both teams, they're going to limit the three ball, limit how much they get to the line. And I will say, one of the only caveats of this is, when both teams struggle, the offensive glass is a place where a lot of these fouls occur. If these teams are terrible offensively, what's going to happen is you're going to get these rebounds that are coming down with the bigs, and a lot of fouls happen down there in the trees. So I want to be wary of that. And as long as both teams stay out of foul trouble and we're not putting guys in, we're not, in the penalty and the bonus with like 12 minutes to go in the first half, I think we're going to be all right here with the under. So make sure you get this play in late at night. It's going to be all the way down on your slate tonight. Make sure you hammer under 135.5, Air Force and Nevada. All right, Grant, that wraps up our 6-pack, and I think we're going to put out some winners this week. Hopefully we can get back in the green. I know last week we went 500. It's going to be a good opportunity for us to grow that record, and I think we're in a good spot this week. A lot less games to bet on, and we got to be more creative as bettors and figuring out what we want to do, trying to be a little more sharp than the public. It's kind of tough to do sometimes, but what I got to say is, don't be a square, be a sharp. And that's why I encourage all our listeners to do your own research. Don't listen to these pawns on Twitter and on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. Some of these guys only post their wins, it feels like. So just be wary about who you're tailing on Twitter. It's just, I feel like some of these guys are doing it to make a penny, which sometimes unfortunate, but bet with your own, bet responsibly, and bet with your own two eyes, and figure out what you like. Do your own research, and that's what makes it fun for us. I know for a lot of casual bettors, this is they get on those websites and these shows and stuff like that, and all they want to do is hear the results, and they don't want to know the process behind the results and everything like that, which is fine for a casual bettor. But I'd like to say me and you are pretty competitive when it comes to this stuff of trying to beat the books and everything. Doing research is so much fun. I know I get up before class, and sometimes I'll hop on my laptop, research a little bit about the lines, about these teams, about these players, and it's a lot of fun. But Grant, any closing thoughts before we wrap up episode 4?
Yeah, guys, cold stretches happen in gambling. Don't let last week fade you guys on us. In the long run, we're going to make you money. That's why we're in the green right now since the start of the show. And last week, really, we were a freak injury away from, being in the green again.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy injury away from probably having a 4-2, 5-1 week. Hopefully we'll get some winners out to you again this week. And we will get you some winners this week. And guys, don't stop betting. Keep betting. You guys are one win away from financial freedom. So just keep playing it, boys.
That's for sure. I want to thank everyone for listening to the show. Make sure you hit us up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all of our platforms. Find us on Instagram and on Twitter, everything. Try to get us on TikTok too. We're trying to grow a little bit of following there. Already got 15K.
Yeah.
It's a little underground how we got that 15K, but make sure you guys follow us on there. We're going to be getting some clips out for you guys. And remember, full shows on YouTube. If you're watching here, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And Grant, thank you for coming on once again. And we'll be back next week, guys, with some more winners. I appreciate everyone for listening, subscribing, and doing all that stuff. So for the time being, we'll see you guys later. Peace.